Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. Let's go. What if I told you there was a book by the Toltec that helped us understand Hinduism better? What if this book bridges the gap between the mythological claims of an era of truth and an actual lived past, resulting in Satya Yuga not being mythical at all? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you by enlightening you towards a book by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. Let's start right at the root of the whole problem. How we lose our minds before we even realize we have them. And it will point you to the core principle of Hinduism. From the second you take your first breath, a massive invisible machinery goes to work on you. They call it society, culture, education, upbringing, call it what you want. Don Miguel Ruiz gave it a very specific chilling name: domestication. You are rewarded for obedience, punished for rebellion, and slowly but methodically molded into a shape that keeps the machine running smoothly. And the worst part? You start defending the cage like a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. Then you call it your personality. The process by which you develop this veil over your true consciousness is called making agreements. Like when Mercury was a kid and put his hand in the cookie jar. His mother saw him and scolded, saying, "Mercury, eating cookies is a bad habit." Mercury agreed with himself that yes, if my mother is telling me what I'm doing is bad, then it must be bad. That's it. Mercury has made a mental agreement like so many times before and so many times after. He jumped into what the Toltec called Mitote, the internal judge that tells you you're not good enough, the victim that says, "Poor me," the beliefs that aren't even yours telling you how to dress, whom to love, and how much to suffer. We are sleepwalking through a hallucination, taking our misery so damn seriously because we genuinely believe this dream is real. And here is where it gets staggering. If you pack your bags, leave the modern world behind, and travel back thousands of years into the ancient forests of the Indian subcontinent, you find ancient sages sitting under trees looking at the exact same human condition. They didn't call it Mitote, they called it Maya, the cosmic magic show, the great illusion of Father Vishnu. They looked at humanity and said, "Look at you. You're like an actor who walked onto a stage, got so terrified of the plot and the reviews that you forgot you were wearing a costume. You're bleeding over nothing but props. Different continents, different centuries, no internet, no shared text, no GPS coordinates connecting them. And yet, both the ancient Toltec shaman and the Vedic sage arrive at the same exact diagnosis. You are hypnotized. If Mitote or Maya are the invisible cages holding us in, how do we begin to saw through the bars? That is where Don Miguel Ruiz drops the first of his 4 additional agreements that he wants to make with his readers, something we often see gods in Hinduism make with their devotees. The first agreement: be impeccable with your word. Now, when most of us hear "be impeccable with your word," we think of honesty, we think of telling the truth, keeping our promises, or not telling lies to our friends. But Ruiz means something infinitely deeper. He tells us that your word is pure, unfiltered magic. It is the power you have to create, and just as easily, the power you have to destroy. Think about how casually we throw words around. We gossip, we complain, we judge ourselves relentlessly in the bathroom mirror. Every single time you tell yourself, "I'm stupid for this," or "I'm always ruining everything," you're casting a black magic spell on your mind. For example, think back to a single offhand remark a teacher or a parent made to you when you were 7 years old. Something small like, "You're terrible at math," or "You're too sensitive." And notice how that one sentence carved a track in your brain that you're still driving down decades later. That is the word acting as a force of domestication. If you cross the globe and look deep into the ancient Indian philosophy, you find this exact same realization codified thousands of years earlier under the concept of Vach, the sacred, cosmic power of speech. In the Vedic tradition, speech isn't just a tool for communication, it is the fundamental fabric of creation. The universe itself was thought to have been spoken into existence. The ancient rishis understood that what you speak, you manifest. Every careless word is a seed planted in the fertile, vulnerable soil of your own consciousness. Alongside Vach sits the yogic ideal of Satya, truthfulness. But in Sanskrit, Satya goes far beyond just avoiding a lie. It means that your inner thoughts, your spoken words, and your outward actions are in total unbroken alignment. When you are living in Satya, you stop leaking your creative energy. You stop casting spells against yourself. Once you stop poisoning your own world with careless words, you immediately run into the next massive obstacle, the opinions, judgments, and emotional reactions of everyone else around you. Which brings us to the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. Ruiz tells us something that sounds almost shockingly liberating once you let it sink in. Nothing other people do is because of you. When someone is rude to you, when someone judges you, when someone projects their anger, their bitterness, or their expectations onto your life, it has nothing to do with who you are. It is entirely a reflection of their dream, their domestication, their internal mitote. They're just serving you their own emotional poison. And yet, what do? We take it like a sponge. We internalize it. We replay it in our heads for days, and we willingly drink the poison. When you go back into ancient Indian thought, you find this exact psychological armor forged into the core yogic philosophy. They called it Viveka, the power of discrimination, paired directly with Vairagya, the practice of non-attachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna constantly reminds Arjuna to act with complete dedication, but to remain utterly detached from the reactions, opinions, and emotional turbulence of the crowd. The ancient sages understood that a person rooted in true awareness does not anchor their self-worth to the shifting tides of other people's opinions. When someone throws praise at you, or when someone throws an insult at you, the yogic perspective asks, which part of you is actually being praised or insulted? The physical body? The temporary social ego? The role you're playing in the cosmic play? When you realize you're none of these things, other people's projections stop sticking to you. They become like wind blowing against a stone wall. If taking things personally is how we swallow other people's poison, the third agreement is how we manufacture our own. We love to make assumptions, and then we treat our assumptions as absolute, unshakable truth. We see someone look at us sideways in the hallway, and instantly our brain writes a whole feature film. They hate me. Everyone is talking about me behind my back. And half the time, the other person was just trying to remember if they locked the door. We make assumptions about what people are thinking. And because we are too terrified to ask for clarity, we build entire emotional fortresses out of pure fiction. When you trace this back to Indian ancient philosophy, you find the exact same diagnosis under a massive foundational concept, avidya, which translates to ignorance, or more accurately, misapprehension. In Vedic and Buddhist thought, avidya is the root cause of all human suffering. It's not just a lack of facts, it is the active process of projecting our own internal fears, desires, and conditioning onto a clean canvas. The entire goal of meditation and self-inquiry in the yogic tradition is to strip away avidya, to stop assuming, stop hallucinating narratives about the past and future, and see things as they actually are. You stop living in the imaginary movie theater of your own anxiety. Which brings us to the fourth and the most important agreement. The one that prevents you from beating yourself up when you inevitably fail at the first three. The fourth agreement: always do your best. Your best is never going to look the same from day to day. Some days you are healthy, rested, and clear-headed. Your best is a masterpiece of energy and focus. Other days when you are sick, exhausted, grieving, or overwhelmed, your best might look just getting out of bed and breathing. Ruiz reminds us that if you always do your current best, whatever that looks like in the raw reality of the present moment, you never have to feel guilty. You never have to judge yourself, and you never have to carry the heavy baggage of self-abuse. And when you trace this exact principle in Indian thought, you strike bedrock. That is the living, breathing heart of Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, immortalized in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna laid down a revolutionary framework for human action. You have a right only to work, never to its fruits. In Karma Yoga, you're called to pour your entire soul, your complete focus, and your uncompromised integrity into whatever action is in front of you. But you must completely let go of your obsession with the outcome, the applause, the criticism, or the reward. When you put all four pieces together, the entire picture snaps into focus. It tells us that the mythical era of truth, the legendary Satya Yuga, was never just a geographical date on a cosmic calendar that we have to wait millions of years to stumble back into. It is a state of perception. It is what happens when you stop gossiping and poisoning your mind with your own words. It is what happens when you stop drinking other people's projections. And it is what happens when you give your absolute best at the present moment, the clinging to the illusion of the outcome.